We're gonna set ourselves up for a twisted plank to pike. So let's start with our left foot straddling straight across our right. Push out into a high plank position and let the hips go all the way up and all the way down. Hiking just like we normally would. And then dropping down to what's a high plank. See if you can try twisted plank to pike, and then somewhere add a saw in, whether we go sawing forward and back and lifting up and down, or whether you go for a plank to pike for long enough and then just isolate the saw forward and back, forward and back. Pull that in, and then let it drop you down to your knees to where it takes you straight into a twisted wheelbarrow and a push up. So we'll go bend, press, push, pull, isolating the push up if you want. And then at some point, I'm gonna keep that light tension and completely turn. And I'm gonna stop, but I'm gonna send my right leg out. And here's where I'm gonna start to activate the legs and the core at the same time. So without the carriage movement, I'm gonna lift my leg up and look over my shoulder. You might have a dumbbell if you want it harder. And over. Then at some point, the arm stays still, the leg lifts up, then we go hamstrings, heel to glute, kick out and in, heel to glute, kick out and in, micro kicks, hold the leg, thread the needle, reach through without the carriage moving, gently bring it into a close. If someone's really struggling all together, then I could just add a green spring to the mix to keep it more still and stable. Since you have a pregnant person in your class, this one's for Carly, but if anybody has a carriage that needs to be completely still, simply just adding my 2 reds is gonna keep it from moving out and in, so I can be pretty secure as I'm in that same position, and my carriage will not be moving on me at all. So with that light tension, we are going to be taking ourselves to the side of the machine. So let's go ahead and go to the left side first. So once I go to the left side, I'm gonna go into just a classic lunge where I go down and I lift right back up. Now, this is gonna be safe for the pregnant people to do, or anybody with the balance challenge might go less, maybe that's more. But you're gonna see if your people can grip the bar and pike the knee, tippy toe to heel landing, just so you can advance it for everybody else. Knee to elbow, tippy toe. Once you feel like you've flown through that enough, we'll take it down to kneeling on the carriage so that your people that might need it can use it as a moment to actually take their knee down. Otherwise, it's gonna go deep, pull and press. Driving just from your left standing leg up and down. And then let's see if there can be a moment where we give them a hold, a pulse, maybe a calf raise. And then everybody's gonna see if they can elevate their knee. You can tell those that might need it to bring the knee back in underneath the hip, lift the knee gently out so that it turns into a bird dog. Let's take the dumbbell and let's row in and out as we kick in and out. Push and pull, push and pull. So maybe having that dumbbell right there already set up, so all they do is have to grab it. And then let's just work the upper body more while the lower body is not really having to do too much to change. Let's freeze with our legs straight or bent, and let's go kick back in and out, in and out. Then let's reach, rotate, reach, rotate. If you have a pregnant person, just pull the elbow, reach, and pull. So the legs aren't doing too much, but we're making the upper body quite a bit, but the legs just hanging out there in a hold. Easily, the pregnant person or the one that struggles with balance could just put their knee back down while it's challenging the rest to stay really stable and still. It's challenging them to get a lot more upper body while their lower body could sneakily not be doing as much to hold themselves up and balance where it's still stable and still. And then they stay really close to the carriage. So I would come all the way back, knees to carriage, before I go to the other side. And I would give them a moment to press and pull. So I'm gonna load them up with springs. So I would probably do a red and a green just to be safe. And if that feels too easy, I would go 2 red. If that feels too hard, I would go red and yellow. So give them a moment because it actually feels good to let the lower back release after what we just did. Just a strong push and pull from a wide angle. Push, pull, and then the arms will come in and it will be narrow and we'll push out and pull in. So chaturanga style, out and in. And then this can take you right back into your plank series. So your red springs would already be on for those who are pregnant or those who have no balance. And I'm going to show you this round how to make that plank work for them. So let's say we're going right back into that same twisted plank to pike that we had everybody else in. So for my pregnant person specifically, I don't necessarily need them to twist. What you're trying to do is get their right side of their waist to work more. But I'm gonna have them loaded springs so that when they lift up, the carriage doesn't go anywhere. So just putting 2 reds and a green and a yellow is enough. They can put their feet right back here and she might just hang out and hold while everybody else is twisting and lifting. If she wants to, she can straddle her feet and then her hips can go up and down, and notice the carriage is not moving at all. It's the same exact move. She can just trust her body that the hips can go up and down and she doesn't have the fear of the carriage moving. And it also keeps her core, her lower back, safe and secure as she goes up and down. She could also just be holding the modified kneeling position. So once you get through your full section, she's obviously not gonna saw because we don't want her to necessarily move the carriage, but it doesn't mean she can't shift forward and back instead of shifting backwards. So I would really explain all of that to her before she ever even got in, that she would know that the carriage isn't supposed to be moving. She would know that those springs need to be loaded, and I would just really eyeball it to make sure she's putting them on and taking them back off, because that would be your responsibility as a trainer to make sure that she's always set on the right springs. So let's say she's taking it down and we're going to the exact same side plank where we rotate and we go right, but now my carriage isn't gonna move at all. I'm just gonna send my left leg all the way out. My right arm stays long. I reach up and over, swing, reach, swing, reach, because keeping anyone that's pregnant, activating your left leg while we're in any kind of kneeling position. It's not gonna be the hardest thing she's ever done for her right oblique, but everybody else who's holding that single yellow spring, it's gonna be pretty challenging even though they're on their knees. And then heel to glute, start to activate the hamstring, bending in and out. There again, having to hold the carriage as still as can be, but hers is really in control. And we do those micro kicks. And then we thread the needle under and reach. Now, my eyes staying center instead of rotating. I'm trying to rotate to increase my balance and my mobility, but that's not her goal. Her goal is just to stay balanced, so simply putting the foot back down and reaching under and reaching back. And if her eyes can't follow, especially the one that has ear issues, kind of the same concept, she's gonna feel dizzy at different points. I would not look. I would just stay eyes on one spot, reach as far as you can, and pull. We only move our eyes when we feel like we're able to really move our eyes. Twisted wheelbarrow, they can hold the twisted position, but there's really no need to, especially for pregnant. I would just keep her center and just holding modified kneeling. She can easily do push-ups from here if she wants to. Micro, full range, she'll keep her doing something different. So once we've done that, we're gonna pop our springs back off. And again, you just tell the ones that don't need to jump, they don't have to jump. It keeps them in a really simple lunge. So it's still our light floor lunge, that they're accustomed to doing, but you're making it just a little bit harder for those that are regular in that they lift up into their plank and drop down versus your ones that shouldn't be going down and up as far. Their foot bar could be all the way up and they could just be working on dropping down an inch and up an inch, down an inch and up an inch. We had our dumbbell travel over to the other side so that when we're ready we go into kneeling, because they can also take this as a moment to be resting on the carriage. So we do a full sequence going down and up. Key is that the back knee is not driving in and out. Unless it's your pregnant person, they can absolutely do it if they need to. Find a moment to pulse, maybe calf raise, whatever you did on the other side. And then we're going to be grabbing our dumbbell, pulling the carriage in. And we're just doing that for them so that they can safely balance as they lift back up. We're going to straighten the arm in and out. We actually rode, didn't we? So we pull in and press, pull in and press. You choose if your leg is straight for the kickback, because again, it's hanging out in a lunge, taking the distraction by moving to the legs, holding that freeze and arms taken over so our brain is focused on what the arms are feeling. And then let's put it together, let's row, and then I might just pull my elbow, or I might rotate all the way up if that feels good. Pregnant person only goes elbow, and they might not even adjust their eyes. It might just look like a row that they originally started with, and then we can gently pull the knee in and take it into the carriage. Now then I would sit down, and I might put my foot bar down, and she's gonna be able to sit in a seated C curve, be kneeling in any position, and be elevated in any position for a long period of time. So I'm just trying to figure out how to make that more creative and more challenging for everybody else. I'm gonna put double springs on, and I wanna be pushing against my platform. She's gonna have a little prop that's set up behind her so that she's easily supporting her C-curve, and she can just lay back whenever she wants to. The rest of your crew can have a ball that's gonna go behind them. So we're gonna put our heels onto our platform, and we're gonna allow ourselves to push all the way out and pull all the way in. So let's go through just a long series of pushing out, and we're gonna see if the arms can go overhead as I go out and they come back in as I come back in. Create a long series where the arms come right to the heart and then right to the crown. And then let's keep them with legs stretched out. And let's hold the legs long, and let's pulse the palms for hundreds. Now I'm gonna go big audible exhale. Inhale, exhale. At some point, just like when we go to tap our ankles, we're gonna reach right center, and then we'll spend long enough reaching. Let's start to twist. I go right and then put it together. Come all the way in. As you push out, twist to the right. Now she may not want to twist as far, so hands might be right here at the heart, tiny twist, or just stay center all together and keep pushing out and in, but you keep everybody else moving over to the right. I would take a nice long pause. I would sit down. I can't sit crisscross, as you know right now. I would sit down and I would create a pretty in-depth arm sequence right here, where I would go green and yellow, maybe for a heavier, green for medium, no yellow for right now. Let's try maybe to keep both springs on since they were already on. So I'm gonna choose a heavier tension. I might go chest press, flip the arms, take it as a goalpost, do a little fist pump, pulse, pulse, flip the elbows, pulse, pulse, flip the elbows, and then you might just isolate chest press up, pull it back in, flip the elbows back in, isolate the narrow. That way you can spend a long chunk of time being in your upper body. She needs the upper body strength, as you know, you've had a baby, so she needs the upper body strength to be intact when she's got time to hold the baby so that the posture is wide and open. So it's a great one for her to actually help support her long term and where she's headed. And then you can go right back to that same sequence. Takes quite a bit of time to get there. So I go nice big exhale as I reach. Inhale as I come back in. Find the moment where we want to stay stretched out. Bring the hands back down, start the hundreds. We go twist, twist, twist to the left pretty soon. Take as much time as you want in hundreds, and then we reach left, center, left, center. When you're ready, hands go behind the head. We take the twist first so that they can come back in, center. Exhale, twist. Inhale, center. Exhale, twist. Give it a beat, give it a break. Now I'm gonna flip around. I'm gonna flip around and I'm gonna put myself in a tabletop position. And this is gonna be very, very, very secure for her. She does not have to have the carriage moving at all. So she could have a light dumbbell instead of the carriage moving, because this direction is gonna cause a lot of challenge for balance for everybody else. She could easily put the springs on and just move the upper body in the same way that we are with a medium light dumbbell, so that would be like a 3 or a 5. So I'm gonna choose a green spring, and I'm gonna grab the strap behind me to the right. So once I grab the strap, I'm gonna be right here, and I'm just gonna do a bicep curl, because I just got my chest and my back, so I'm gonna do a bicep curl in and out. So I'm getting my triceps as I move the strap back, my biceps as I move the strap in. And then there's gonna be a moment where I bring the strap all the way in, and I'm gonna place my left hand down, and I've got the weight of the carriage in my right hand, and I'm gonna send my left knee back, and I'm gonna bring it over to my left elbow, and then I'm gonna kick across towards my right shoulder. So I'm gonna go bend and press, kicking right across their center line. So you can create a whole glute sequence here, reaching across, find a moment to hold, find a moment to kick, and then see if we can go up and over. So I go up and over to the right, hit the carriage, to the left, up and over the tailbone, to the right, to the left. And then I'm set, my strap is just right there waiting for me. Let's go single arm since we just did biceps. Let's see if we can go single arm serve the platter. So that way, pregnant person easily stays right here. Anybody with balance issues, easy stays right here. Otherwise, those advancing, single arm push and come back down, pull. Push and pull. So then I'm gonna hover. My heels and my hips are about 1 inch apart, and I keep my elbow high so it turns into triceps as I hover. Pregnant person just sits down, keeps the elbow high, triceps bend and extend. Taking ourselves to the other side would look exactly the same. So she's not having to move too far forward and back. That's what we're trying to control, is how many things can I create in this one moment. So she wants to be very secure when she has the strap. We want to pull, press. So looking at the shoulders for everybody else, stay still. Elbow's not out of control. It's right next to the ribs. So nobody's gonna nosedive if their elbow is in control. If their elbow is out of control, they are very likely to nosedive down. So we lift and then extend back over our tailbone. Feeling a lot of biceps there. I'm pulling the strap around my wrist. I'm pulling my fist back, and that's just so I hold on to my strap. I feel the tension of it similar to what I would be on the floor, and I bring my right knee over to my right elbow, my right toe over to my left shoulder line. I go high as I can with a little turnout from the knee, but the hips and the stable knee aren't moving or swaying at all. Take a moment where you maybe pulse across. Take a moment where you extend the hamstring, bend and extend. Take a moment where the leg stays long, and we go up and over without the carriage or the hips moving. We go right We go left, right, and left until it's time to gently put the knees back down on the carriage. We bring ourselves right back into our strap. We go serving the platter if we can, in and out. If you're more advanced, go pushing all the way in, all the way out. Hover when you're ready. I've hovered and I've got my elbow higher than my ribs so that it becomes more tricep this time when I pull and press. Grabbing onto the knot for anybody that needs it harder is going to be harder than holding on to your strap. Once you're done, we've already got our straps. So all I'm going to have them do is bring it back to sit down on their carriage and get them ready to do ab work with your feet in the strap. So she's going to be propped up. She's going to still be able to put her feet in the straps just like everybody else would. We'll put the arches of our feet into the long loops and take yourself into a full sequence where you're activating your core. So this is exactly what my legs did when they were pushing away. So she's going to be elevated. They're not. Let's hold our thighs in a deep round back curl. Let's go bend. Let's go extend and then curl, curl. Bend, extend, curl, curl. At some point, do your hundreds just like you did. And then let's do that same sequence. So reach right, center, right, center. And then we'll take a full on rest. Go back to the sequence until it's time for hundreds. Reach left, center, and then you're set up that if you have more time, you might do hands in the straps. So anything hands in the straps goes, just to finish it off before you put the feet back in the strap to stretch, or you could take the opportunity to just completely stretch out. So basically we stayed on the carriage the whole time. She had the option that several times the carriage wasn't moving at all. So that's your best friend specifically for her, so that everybody else can be doing the same challenging moves, is that you've got heavy tension underneath her so the carriage isn't moving whenever she's doing any kind of